26 days until the mighty Brisbane Lions play their the first game of the season, opening round, and Connor McKenna also wears the number 26. So I really like the number 26 today. Your thoughts on the number 26, Egg?
Well, like you said, Connor McKenna, 26 days to opening round. It seems to be pissing by. It feels like literally yesterday they put up the graphic saying 30 days to opening round.
Yeah.
I feel like every year, like January always is super slow, moves like a glacier, and then after that it just it just takes off, and then before you know it, it's 2025, and then maybe I'm just getting older. I don't know.
I was so worried, when we lost the grand final, getting through the preseason was going to feel like it was going to take a million years. I was feeling like, sure, losing the grand final sucks, but having to wait, 5 months or whatever it is the off season it runs for feels like it's going to take 200 years. So I feel it feels good to be here in February, and literally Connor McKenna days from our opening round game against Carlton. What have you done to sort of pass the time in the off season?
Well, started watching a bit of National Football League in America. I don't know if you can see in the background, I got the Detroit Lions flag up. Yeah. Things are looking good up until the third quarter of the NFC Championship, when we just decided to just die.
Yeah.
That wasn't fun to watch. I was out at the shops with my phone out, checking the score. I had my Detroit Lions shirt on. I had the NFC North Champions hat on. I'm walking around with my phone out, watching KO, checking the score, thinking, oh, fuck, we've choked it. And then, yeah, by the time I got home, it was over.
Yeah, it does be like that, man. Supporting, I do dabble in a bit of American sport as well. Supporting my beloved Phoenix Suns this season has been a blast, but also at the same time, it's been a roller coaster. But it gets you through the off season with the AFL before the number ones in our life comes back. The Brisbane Lions. So yeah, dude, it's gonna be sick. It's going to be a sick show. We're going to talk about the season ahead. We've got a few preseason games coming up here. Well, not a few, just a couple. Sydney Swans and Gold Coast. We'll get into that. Actually, had a funny run-in with a guy in Rocket League about that game, but I'll get to that when we get to that game. We're going to have a chat about some changes that may take some time to get used to. We'll get into that a bit later. There's been some Gabba redevelopment news. It's not so great news, but we'll get into that. And we're going to build our best 22 to end the show there, so that should be a lot of fun. So don't go anywhere. Kick back. Grab a beer or something, if you're of age, of course, because episode 1 of the main event. Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
We're hot, we're mean, we're strong, we're a team. We're the very best team you've ever seen.
Yes, that is right. The first real episode of the main event. Last week was our pilot episode. Had some good feedback on it, man. Had some good support for it, and it's been looking like it's doing all right to start things off. What is some of the feedback you've gotten on the show? What's the reception you've had on your end, man?
Well, my mum watched it and she said it was very. For all those fails, I've got that.
Yep.
We've got a 5-star perfect rating on Spotify. Now we may only have 3 ratings, one of which is me, but
yeah,
don't let the facts get in the way of your story.
Exactly. So we don't. I think we may have jinxed it. I think someone's going to hear that and be like, "Oh, I've got to go give them a 3 stars now."
One of my friends probably is going to go rate it 1 star just to be a dickhead.
Yeah, I've got friends that are going to do the exact same thing to me, but it's a 1 star with love, I guess. That's the good part. But no, it's been a good support, guys, and definitely go check us out on our socials at Main Event Pod. We're posting weekly, new episodes every Monday at this point, and a whole lot more. And you don't want to miss out on that whole lot more, and you won't miss out on the whole lot more if you go onto our socials. So go do that. A lot of fun on there. But yeah, let's actually get into the footy. We've got some exciting stuff coming up as we've sort of topped the show off. The 26 days until our first actual game, but before then, on February 22nd, that's 11 days away, dude. 5 p.m. Eastern time. I think that's Queensland time. I don't have daylight savings over here in WA, so I've no idea at this rate. But we're playing the Suns.
I think it is. Yeah.
We're playing the Suns at Brighton Homes Arena, and what do you think of it, dude? We'll be the first ones to trial the new look Gold Coast Suns under Big Dimmer.
We touched on it in the previous show, but it's intimidating, you know, like when a team comes out and they like got a new coach or a new structure or there's something fresh about them, there's always that level of uncertainty. Like, you know, you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And you don't know how the Lions are going to look post grand final. What levers are going to pull, what they do in terms of structure. I know in our most recent intra club, Darcy Gardner was in the forward line. And he actually did quite well.
I read that he kicked like 3 goals or something. Like that'd be kind of exciting to see Darcy Gardner get up forward, especially, you know, our back line is so stacked at this point, especially when Duday or how do we actually say his last name? I've heard so many people say like Duday, Dodie. It's going to be a tough one this year, but yeah, I'm keen to see Darcy up forward, man. Duday. Yeah. We'll see how that goes, but yeah. Yeah, it'd be good, man. Like, I haven't seen much else from the intra club. Did you go down and watch the game or anything?
Sorry, mate, you cut out. What'd you say?
Oh, did you like go down and watch the game down at like the intra clubs? Are they public?
I think they were. I didn't get a chance to because I was working, but yeah, I think you were able to go and have a look. Yeah, have a look at the scene. I know I went to one a couple of years ago down the road at Zilmia, which was cool. That was 2022, I believe. Yep. So yeah, I don't see why they wouldn't be public these days.
Yeah, it'd be kind of sick to get on down to one. I think it would be like, you know, it's all the boys versus all the boys, you know, all the Lions playing the Lions, but still would be sick to see, especially after you've like been starved of footy for like the last, you know, again, 5 months or so.
Absolutely.
And especially like, you know, the prospect of Darcy having a big day out. It's exciting moving into it. But yeah, playing the Gold Coast, it's just like, to me, there's nothing that really stands out other than, just Gold Coast Suns being coached by Damien Hardwick, which is pretty exciting in itself to see that play out throughout the year. But for me, it's more just so, you know, seeing the boys back on the paddock, you know, having footy back as well. It's only been like 3 months since we watched our last footy game. You know, the girls getting the flag against North, which was a lot of fun. I know you certainly enjoyed that one, having your own watch party, dude, which is a fun watch actually as well.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, we should...
Unfortunately, that's a private, but yeah, it was good.
Oh, did you get like done for copyright?
I did, yeah, which is annoying.
Yeah, it sucks. It's sort of like I would love to do watch parties on here, which is something we can definitely explore one day for those listening that would be keen. But
yeah, for sure,
copyright is a bitch. But yeah, again, to me, it's just like all about seeing the boys back on the paddock and potentially seeing, you know, just some experiments from the coaching staff, something like that. This is sort of the time you do it. And yeah, it'll be a good watch, man. Brighton Homes Arena is also like, to me, it seems like really aesthetically pleasing to watch games at. And even on like TV, I know it's like a small ground and all that, but it still looks really nice. It's really sick what they've been able to come up with there.
Absolutely, yeah. I was there for the women's prelim to go, and it was really nice. Like, I can't stress it enough. Like, it's a beautiful ground. Like, even that little stand they have, grandstand they have where the coach's box is at, like, it's the brick facade. It looks beautiful. The ground looks impeccable. We're in a great area. And yeah, like there's a train line right there, so you can just jump off the train and you're there pretty much. So yeah. I can't speak highly enough of it. There's like a little standing room area right above the interchange bench, so you can like sit there with your beer and watch the game unfold.
Oh, that'd be sick.
Yeah, I was sitting there with another guy chatting about stuff. Bloke I'd never even met before, but he was still pretty cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, and got to watch a good game of footy. Had a good view of Shannon Campbell's goal in the fourth quarter to get us up in front, which is cool.
Yeah, that would have been sick, man. Like,
if
I can ever get to Queensland anytime soon, I definitely want to do something at Brighton Homes Arena, even if it is just a women's home game. I'll get down there for it. Yeah, just awesome facilities, dude. I just want to get there in person. But yeah, I'm excited for this one, man. It's last year we played Geelong in the equivalent game down at Brighton Homes, which is the first time I got to play there. And obviously Will Ashcroft was super impressive that night. But of course, like, are you someone who looks really much into the preseason? I know everyone says don't, but are you someone who sort of analyzes how these preseason games go?
For me, it's impossible to not look deep into it. Like, if we win, it's like, hell yeah, we're going to do really good this year. And if we lose, it's doomsday, and like that's my own fault. Like, I take that shit too seriously, but it kind of can be a representation of what the year may have in store for your footy club. Like take Brisbane and Geelong, for example. Brisbane had a really great year and got to the grand final. Geelong had a shit year and they didn't even make finals.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was like 6 months earlier. They flogged us in a prelim, you know, like it can be a good indicator of where things could go, but again, like it's such a long season of footy, anything can happen, you know?
Yeah, exactly, man. It's for me, it's almost the same thing. Like, I look more into the habits that happen during the game, not so much like the end result. The result, like if you win, it's cool and all. If you lose, then preseason game, who cares? But definitely, it's sort of just like if there's bad habits you can see on the field, you don't want them to start like crawling into the regular season. You don't even know if the team's picked up on it either. You'd hope so, seeing they're professionals and we're just the ones sitting at home on the couch or in the stands. But yeah, it can be a good time to sort of analyze the sort of the game on a deeper level in terms of how your team's actually playing, the habits they're doing, their play style, etc. But overall, you're not going to sort of end your life over it. I hope not. Anyway, but no, it'll be a good watch, man. I'm definitely gonna watch it, and yeah, we'll be doing some episodes on the preseason games once they're all wrap up and sort of have a chat about that. There isn't too much to really, talk about when it comes to a preseason game. Just excited that footy's back, and we'll be doing the same thing, the very next week against Sydney at Blacktown. So there you have it. Should be a good one, that one as well. Sydney do seem like they're going to be sort of taking a big stride in, from their grand final loss into their sort of year last year. And now I think like they're going to be properly recovered and back into it. What are you thinking about Sydney coming into this year? I don't know if we touched on it last week, but if we did, we can just sort of repeat that point, I guess.
I think we did touch on it a little bit last week, but it's going to be really interesting. Sydney, they've already defied expectations for teams that get flogged in a grand final by making finals the next year. Like take Port Adelaide in 2007, didn't even make the finals, crashed out to 13th place.
Yeah.
GWS in 2019, like they only just missed out on finals by one game, but still like final. And like the big off season they had with Brodie Grundy and Taylor Adams, like they are good for sure. And I think they'll defy a lot of expectations this year for sure.
Yeah, definitely, man. I feel like Sydney are going to be a team that definitely will surprise some of the doubters for sure. Definitely a team I'm going to definitely be taken seriously this year. Last year, seeing how they performed after the grand final, I know we touched on that point last week for sure. They weren't a team that you were really too worried about, but this year I think they've been able to sort of re-energize and revive themselves to a degree. So it'll be good to actually meet them in the regular season. But in terms of this game down at Blacktown, it is what it is, dude. Like same points as the Gold Coast game, just another preseason game, and excited to have footy back. This one will probably be one I watch more closely though, for sure. Seeing the new additions play will be sweet. But yeah, that'll probably be about it on the preseason, I think, for now. Let's just get the games going and we can get deeper into them when they've actually happened. But of course, the off season is long, as we've sort of, said many a time this episode, but it goes quite quickly. And along with the off season comes a lot of off season changes. We've had a lot of them, this season. Going into this season, it's going to look a little different from the previous ones for a few reasons. No Daniel Rich this year, man. It's a sad one.
It is, but yeah, it's really sad.
Yeah, it's gonna be new not seeing him there.
It is, yeah. Like it's jarring. Like he's been at the footy club since 2009. His first year at the footy club, like Michael Voss was having his first year as senior coach. He's been there that long. Yeah. He was there for the Miracle on Grass. He played in the 2009 final against Carlton. He was there for the rebuild of the footy club. He was there when we got to the grand final. He wasn't playing, but he was there. He won the longest kick. So after all that, we did win something on that day, which is cool. But yeah, it's going to be really jarring to not see him out there.
Yeah,
and I know he took himself off the side after the Hawthorn loss, but still, like it's not gonna feel right with him not there.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's I feel like now it's going to be Kitty's backline. I feel like Kitty is going to be the new Dan Rich down there. At this point, I know I know for sure he's going to have a big role down there without Dan Rich there, and he's got pretty big shoes to fill because, as you said, Dan Rich has been there every step of the way for this club. Every step of the rebuild. He got there, with the team the year they were in the grand final. Again, would have been awesome to see him play, and of course the Lions going to win, but it's unrealistic, unfortunately, with how circumstances last year were, and hats off to Richie as well for sort of being the one to step himself down, because I feel like Fags would have wanted to see Daniel Rich out to the very, very end, but Dan Rich being the man that he is, he stepped down for the benefit of the team. So yeah, absolute legend of the club, man, and I hope he well, for sure he's going to be a line for life, like life membership and everything like that. I feel like he's only deserving of it, but going to some funny off-season changes now. Well, not funny, but like just some more odd ones, like Josh Dunkley shaving his head. I don't know if this is going to be a new look or if he just said, fuck it, like I'm shaving the whole thing off. How does that make you feel seeing all these photos of bald Josh Dunkley?
It's jarring for sure, like the Daniel Rich thing. Like it took me a minute to like adjust to it, you know what I mean? Like I had to click on when I saw it on the story, I had to click on it and actually like view who they were tagging, their Instagram profile, to see who that actually was. I didn't know who it was. And then another thing as well, excuse me, is that I think there's like a pact or a tradition going on down there where players like to shave their heads. For example, look at Cam Rayner when he came back. He shaved his head. Eric Hipwood shaved his head. And now Josh Dunkley's shaved his head. Maybe they got something going on down there. But yeah, it's strange. I wonder who's next. Yeah, it's because there's gonna be another one after the fact. Like
it's such an odd trend they've got going on there. It's definitely like some sort of ritual, or like what's the thing you do when you're trying to like initiation or something? Is that the right word?
Initiation, maybe. Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like could be one of those things. It's so funny to see, and it's kind of weird. Not gonna lie, it's like it's kind of growing on me. It kind of looks a bit badass with it, but at the same time, it's like it's so weird, and as you said, it's very jarring as well. I do wonder if he's going to sort of just keep shaving it every week, or if it's going to just grow his hair back. Because I know for like I've shaved my head twice with the intentions of saying fuck it. I just want my hair to like start from scratch, because it just go all weird and just fucking be a pain in the ass, and then shaving it was the way to go. So maybe he's pulling one of those stunts. But as you said, Cam Rayner, Eric Hipwood, all shave their heads. Who's next? We'll find that out. I'm hoping very soon, because it's it's a funny trend, man. I like seeing the club have these sort of little things going on, if there is something in that. Have you got any other ones? Have you got any off-season changes you've noticed that might take a bit of time?
Well, one change that the club's going to face, this isn't necessarily a funny one. It's more about like our season. Is going to be the weight of expectation.
Ooh, like, okay, nice.
Anything short of another grand final is a failure for the club. Let's be honest. Yeah. Even if we do a Collingwood and the next year in 2019 they lose a prelim by a few points, like even if that's us this year, like that's not good enough. And yeah, people are going to be watching us like a hawk now, because like one drawback to playing in a grand final and playing quite good is that you have more eyes on you, you have more pressure on you. And prior to that game, like it seemed like not many people knew about us or paid attention to us. Some people wouldn't even know our players' names, Yeah. So I think the weight of expectations and the hype surrounding the footy club and the players now is going to be something that they'd have to get used to. It's been a bit of a running gag that we play shit in finals prior to 2022 and 2023. Yeah. So we had that going for us, but that wasn't more of a expectation. That was more of a stigma. So this year is going to be different. Like people are going to be expecting us to play good and expecting us to get back to the grand final. And I'm not sure how it's going to go. I think maybe it could make us, or it could break us. We don't know. Yeah. Like Fagan said in his presser after the game, like we have to handle the loss well, and we have to handle the pressure well. And I think we have what it takes. I think we'll be okay, but anything's possible, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. It's a very, very good point you raised. Like I sort of didn't think about it like that at all with the off-season changes, but it's all a very, very good point in the fact that this is probably going to be the first season in a very long time we're going to be playing with the expectations of being those guys. You know what I mean? for years it's always been like the Geelongs and the Collingwoods and, you know, the Sydneys for the good stretches that they have every now and then. You know, and now it's us. Like, we've always sort of been up there, but nobody ever took us seriously. And we've sort of always looked as like the little guys and the new guys that are sort of, you know, just building back up. Like, it's definitely going to be very sobering for a lot of players on the team as well, at some points of the season, especially if the team doesn't look like they're going to be performing all that well. You know, they're going to have those troubles with the criticism and the expectation, of course. It's big pressure, and even on people like you and me, man, you know, we're going to be watching the game. We just know what the narratives and everything out there. Like, do the narratives bother you very much as a fan?
To an extent, you have to laugh at it and not take it too seriously. But at the same time, you have to look at it and you think like, well, what the fuck? Like, what are you talking about? Like, some people say we can't win away, which is just flat out untrue. We might have a problem with the MCG, but like we had wins in Adelaide Hills last year. We had wins in Canberra. We had wins in Perth. We had wins in fucking, what do you call it? Fucking Marvel. Marvel's our second home from home. Like, we can play good away. Like, I think we were like, our winning percentage is like just above 50%. And just because like we lose one or two games, high profile games, like a Port Adelaide flog or a Bulldogs loss in round 4 or round 3, whichever it was, like people all of a sudden get this idea we can't play away, when that's not exactly true. And they they try to say like we can't play, we only play good at the Gabba, and the Gabba certainly helps, but like we don't need it to win. We can win on our own merits away from home, you know. So like sometimes it just like goes into like blatant misinformation, but like sometimes it's just like normal footy shit, you know. Like, you can't take it too seriously at the end of the day.
And a lot of it's like people just morons online. You know, at the end of the day, we're all just morons on Twitter and on Instagram, just getting in comment sections, just fucking saying stupid shit for no reason. And you know, nobody wins or gets anything out of it. But I guess it's just at the same time, we're all curious about it. You know, I'm someone that and I've done this for forever, like as long as social media has been a thing. You know, I'll go on to like opposing clubs like pages after a loss or whatever, or a massive win, and to just see the reactions of like their fans and stuff like that. Like a big one that stands out to me is like the Richmond supporters when they won in 2017. You know, going to their page, growing up with Richmond always being dog shit of a footy club, and then just seeing sort of the interactions between people on there. But yeah, going back to like sort of the narratives, like I feel like the Lions have always had like really fucking just ridiculous narratives attached to us. Like the MCG is probably the only one with a bit of merit, because actually statistics back that up, unfortunately. But at the same time, I am someone who sort of subscribes to the notion that it's just like, it's nothing to do with the ground. It's just for me, it's more of a, I'm not even going to say we don't play there enough, because at the end of the day, if it's not a ground, then it doesn't matter how often we play there, if it's not the ground, sorry. But for me, it's always just sort of been fucking ridiculous that we've never, I guess that because it's the MCG, it's an automatic loss. What's more ridiculous to me about it is the fact that it's been running for as long as it has, especially after the semi-final against Melbourne. That was a big-time match that generally at any ground we would have been known to sort of choke those sort of big-time games. This is at a cursed ground with that big-time game put in one. Look, to me, that should have really ended it all. But not just that. I understand that was just one win, and they're probably not going to scrap that narrative with just one win. I totally understand and agree with that. But I think as well, just seeing the past performances there, I mean, understanding we did choke. How much were we up in round 16 or 17 like the last year against Melbourne on a Friday night, and they ended up coming back to beat us by like 1 or 2 points? To me, that's not the ground being cursed. That is just our players being complacent on a big lead and shitting the bed when, you know, Melbourne got firing back up.
I disagree to a certain extent. We did botch the end of the game, and Fagan did admit as much in a couple of rounds later after we beat Collingwood in round 23. He admitted as much. But here's the thing: we were down like 20 something to nothing in the first quarter. Like we had to come back and basically like claw our way back into contention to get that 20-point lead. It was something like a 40-point turnaround between the second quarter and the third quarter. So we were playing good that game. It's just unfortunately like we didn't manage the ending of the game well when Melbourne started to get some momentum.
Yeah.
And we almost saw the same thing happen in Fremantle a couple of weeks later, and you could see the difference in the management of the game towards the end when like Fremantle kicked a goal late and everything was going right for them. Everything like you could watching it, I could sense it coming. Like we're going to lose this game. But we didn't. We held on. We played well. We managed the time well. We managed possession well. And had Joe Danaher not missed his last kick, we could have sealed it in the last second. But we didn't. We ended up winning by like 2 points or whatever. But
yeah,
I think if we don't lose that game, we don't get to the grand final. So I find solace in knowing that like that might have like jump started us and that might have changed our mindset going into the rest of the season.
It definitely changed like how the boys would close out games. I noticed we will always like finish strong for the most part, except for I think we lost to Gold Coast. Was that before or after that game? I can't actually remember. I know we played like a shocker against Gold Coast somewhere around that time period. But I remember every other game, the boys closed out games really strongly, especially in the face of a really tight contest. Deep in the fourth quarter, they composed themselves in the past when they couldn't. But yeah, going back to that sort of Melbourne game, it's sort of just like a loss like that. I don't blame on the ground. I blame that on just sort of the points you brought up. Then Fagan making a coaching mistake, etc. You wouldn't. To me, that's got nothing to do with the ground, and I guess just seeing people overreact to that massive loss, which by the way would have been very exciting for Melbourne fans and people who hate our club.
A lot of good that did for them then.
Oh yeah. And that just fueled the MCG narrative when to me that had nothing to do with the MCG. That was all the other reasons and all of the above. Yeah, it's tough game, that one, man. Tough game. Exciting at the same time. I mean, coming back like that, but yeah, it was fucked, dude.
I was watching it live. Yeah, that was brutal.
Were you there?
I was having a live stream of the game. That was like my highest. That's the second highest live stream viewership on my channel's history. And I count live premieres of videos in that estimation as well.
So how did you feel both in the first quarter when we got down and then at the end as well? Like considering you're live to this audience as well.
Well, for me, like this is my first watch along stream that I've ever done. Like,
what a game to do it for.
Sorry, my thing keeps cutting out. There's a problem with my fucking streamer X. It keeps cutting in and out, like rebooting mid sentence.
I thought that was on my end, so no, it's all good.
Yeah, you might have to cut out like when I'm talking about Sydney. I think it cuts out for a bit during my speech if you want to cut that out, but it's up to you.
No, you're only cutting out for like 1 second at most. That's about it, really. It's all good.
All right, sweet. Because I just keep seeing I've got my Rode Unify software up in the on my other screen and it keeps cutting out. It's pissing me off.
I'm gonna leave this part in the podcast just so people have context as to why you keep cutting out. It's all good.
Okay.
It's all good, man. This is podcasting for you.
Yep. And as I was saying with the Melbourne game, like I'm super new to live streaming, and I'm like, it's an exciting and scary feeling when you're doing it live. And like you have little like people in your chat on the right hand side of your screen talking to you and like reacting to it with you. And another thing as well, like when you watch it on KO, like it's a little bit behind Channel 7. So like you'll have people say, oh, Hipwood kicked a goal, and then like you're still watching the Lions enter into the forward 50 to have Hipwood take a mark, So like
yeah, you
have to like I literally have to like block the chat with my fucking hand. So like I can't, so they don't spoil shit for me.
That's fucking ridiculous.
And then yeah, like we get like we go down 20-something, and I'm just like with the feeling like this adrenaline rush of being on a time or second time, combined with like Brisbane's playing like dog shit in the background. I didn't really like process for me, if that makes sense. Like it was happening, but like I wasn't really processing what was happening. And then it set in like we're playing like dog shit and we're going to lose at the MCG and we're going to get flogged by Melbourne again. And I'm like, oh fuck, Yeah. And then we came back and I'm having a good time. Everything's going great. And then the fourth quarter happens and like we just start losing and I'm like, oh fuck. And then towards the end of the game, there's a soundbite that's popular with certain Melbourne supporters in my fan base. We have a really late entry inside 50 after the Melbourne Demons get up by a point, and there's like it like Hipwood and another defender like mark it at the same time, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
it's like you can mark to either side, but like it looked like a mark to Hipwood in the moment, and it didn't get paid. So I'm just screaming at the screen, "That's a fucking mark! That's a fuck!" You know. And then the chat's like reacting like match fixing and Lions robbed and shit like that. And then like you go over the tape later and you watch it back, and it's obvious like you can't pay a mark either way.
Yeah.
And besides, like Hipwood's, depending on what Hipwood shows up on the day, like he may not even make that kick, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was frustrating, but still a good time. And like I said before, like it broke the record for most amount of concurrent viewers in a live stream, and it only got broken by my live premiere of Scoops Part 2, which had like 130, and the Demons Lions stream had about 101. So like, yeah, that was my experience. And it was fucked.
It's a big night, eh? Like,
it was wild.
Yeah, that would have been fucked. Like, so much pressure, dude. I would have been stressing my fucking hole off if I was in your position watching that game. Like, I was stressed enough as it is, like, watching, you know, downstairs in the deck area, just, you know, with beer in hand and shit like that. Like, I was stressed enough. I couldn't imagine, like, watching it with, like, you know, all these people watching you as well, like watching your reaction and then potentially making memes out of you and fucking, you know, I'm sure there was like Melbourne supporters in there throwing L's at you and shit like that in the chat. Like, fucking, so much pressure.
There was a couple of clips from that stream that became famous within my little supporter base that I've got. Yeah, it was not a good time, but you know, we got to the grand final. Melbourne went out in straight sets, so
facts.
They can have that game. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, fucking facts, dude. Like, they can have it. Like, fuck, have your round 17 game. I don't care. We got the grand final.
It was round 18, but you know what I mean.
Round 18, cool. Thank fuck, you know. Well, it's close enough. Yeah, we got the grand final, so you know, jokes on them at the end of the day. But to be fair, we didn't win the grand final either.
No, but still, like, yeah,
great game.
At least we were there.
Fucking great game. Anyway, so I got some other changes here before we move on here. I know Lachie Neale's been getting tattoos for a little while now, but that left arm is looking it's kind of getting there. I think the man might have a sleeve soon.
Yeah, like a full on like Dane Swan sleeve, like a CM Punk fucking sleeve. Dude, just like super colorful.
That'd be fucked seeing it like that. Like, it's already kind of weird seeing him with tattoos on, but like at the same time, it's Lachie Neale, so I can't judge. One more I do have here is Ashcroft cutting his hair. That's a weird one for me because it's like Prince Charming. That was half his gimmick. That was half the reason he looked so like fucking cool. And now he's just like just cut it short. I mean, I don't know why. I hope he grows the mullet back one day.
I think you will.
Yeah, he's got it for sure. I mean, I get the change, but come on, man. The hair was half the reason you were cool. Being a fucking beast on the footy field. We'll move on here. So there's been a bit of an update on the Gabba redevelopment situation. From what I've heard down at the radio station I do some work at, which I'm also part of. I won't plug them just yet, but just know that I do that outside of this potty. I heard some news on it, and that we are going to see Brisbane possibly have the Olympics in the Gabba in the form that it's currently in. So I'll put that link on the run sheet. There's not too much point us reading this out by any stretch, but it's just sort of a weird thing at the moment where the redevelopment in a TLDR is pretty much like fallen through. So I heard they were
just gonna bypass the Gabba completely and just have it at Suncorp down the road, which, yeah, whatever.
You were there yesterday, weren't you?
I was there for a soccer game. I had a mate come up from Melbourne, and he bought me a Melbourne City scarf, and they were versing Brisbane Raw, so it was a conflict of interest. But yeah, I was there, and they had a little cheer squad on the side of the ground, which was weird. They wouldn't let us go to the behind the goals. There actually wasn't that many people there, but you know, it was still cool to go. And then we had three gentlemen in balaclavas chase us with potentially have with knives after the fact.
Fuck, real shit.
Well, not chase us. It was more like a
Yeah.
power walk away. But like I was in like the Melbourne City like cheer squad. They call it like active supporter, some bullshit like that. But like me and my mate from Melbourne are walking out of the game after the fact. They're all acting weird. About like they had like a drum, and they're all like surrounding the guy with the drum, because apparently like that happens a lot. Like the drum gets stolen. I guess soccer fans are just like beyond feral.
Yeah.
Like they make Collingwood supporters look civilized.
They really do.
And then I'm looking at this, like I've only been to 2 soccer games in my entire life. And so like I'm looking at that thinking, well, that's strange, you know? And then we're crossing the road, trying to get away from the stadium, going wherever. I don't know where we're going, but I turn around and I see this young kid who I don't even know. I don't even know his name. Don't know what he's like, but he's mouthing off to these 3 Sudanese gentlemen in like Brisbane Roar jackets.
Yeah.
And they have balaclavas on. Like, so like you'd see these gentlemen in the balaclavas. You don't turn around and say, oh yeah, I'm going to go throw some chat at these people. I'm going to start beef with these people. And then people in the group are saying to him like, dude, shut the fuck up. What are you doing? And then we keep walking. And then, I feel bad because I put myself and my mate from Melbourne at the front of the group, away from the people who are like, they're just like following us walking at this point. Yeah. Somebody in the group shouts, "Oh my God, they have knives." I didn't see a knife myself, but like, I'm not going to turn around and check, you know, like I'm not going to turn around and ask them, "Hey, do you guys have knives?" But yeah, like we're walking, I'm shitting myself, as is my mate from Melbourne, and we're just walking along from Suncorp Stadium into like the CBD. Just we don't know what to do. Like, what the heck? Like, how do we resolve this? How do we like get out of this? Because like these guys are like eshays, chasing us, and then like we eventually end up on a bus, and we'll shut the door immediately. And I just hear him yell behind us, "Oh yeah, this is our bus too." So I'm thinking, oh crap, they're gonna get on with us, and we're gonna get stuck in this bus with these fuckers.
Yeah.
And luckily, like they didn't actually get on with us. The bus driver shut the door, and we're off. We got off after a few stops. Me and my mate from Melbourne got off a few stops later. Left the rest of the group on that bus. I have no idea where they are. I don't have their contact information. I don't know who they are.
Yeah. I
hope they got out of there okay. But yeah, we walked along in the CBD, a bit more people, a bit more populated, a bit more safe. At this point, they'd have to be James Bond to try and like locate us now. But we're still kind of freaking out a bit. And then eventually I get on a bus out of the CBD to Brisbane Northside. I end up at Chermside Shops for any of my Brisbane people watching. It's a big shopping mall that's completely deserted because it's like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock on a Saturday. But I still felt safer there than I did in the fucking CBD. And then because the next bus that takes me from Chermside Shops to my area was like half an hour away, and I didn't want to wait that long. I literally had to ring up my mum and say, "Hey, can you come get me from the shops, please?" And yeah, like the Ubers were like $30 as well. So it's like, come on, I'm not. That's a scam.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my official experience with the A-League.
Who knew the A-League could be so fucking wild? I mean,
sitting in that, well, apparently like that's nothing compared to Western Sydney, which doesn't surprise me because my parents moved out of Western Sydney to get away from that shit. So
Jesus Christ. Yeah, to me it's like Perth Glory is like the little bitch of Perth sport in WA. Like to me it's just like the most harmless little fucking thing, and then you go over east and I remember there was that story from like a year or two ago. It might have been more like a year ago when the I think it was Melbourne Victory or something like that. The Melbourne Derby or something like that, when shit hit the fan, and there's like flares and shit everywhere. Like it's the last I heard of it, so good to hear that they didn't learn, and A-League still going wild. I mean, I didn't know they'd be fucking like knives, potentially knives, balaclavas, and all that. They fucking, God, they want hooliganism to be such a thing. I want it to be a thing so bad here. It's kinda weird.
That was nuts.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, do you think Suncorp would make good for the Olympics at least?
Yeah, we were talking about the Olympics, weren't we?
Yeah.
I don't.
That was a good story, but I'll fucking that was good.
I don't know. Like it could be. I don't know at this point. I think we should stick with the Gabba.
Yep.
A redeveloped Gabba fits into the style of previous Olympic stadiums, compared to like a Suncorp, just because it's like Suncorp's a rectangle.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know at this point. Like the modern day politician couldn't organize a route and a brothel. Like this is the epitome of it. Like it should be like such a simple task. Like wait until the latest possible moment, knock down the Gabba, kick the Lions out and the cricket out for 2 years, and then rebuild the Gabba, and then we're all sweet, Yeah. But like, no, the people in this who go to this shitty state school that's sandwiched next to the Gabba that like has like 5 students there protesting. The rich dickheads who live in $2 million houses near the Gabba are protesting the development, and these people are saying this, and the Greens are saying this and this, and it's like, fuck's sake, bro.
Yeah, it's sort of one of those things where it's like it's so much fucking back and forth over the past like year or two on this, and it's just flipping and flopping. Like the Queensland Premier's said that he prefer the Gabba Stadium isn't demolished and rebuilt, which is like something that's just come out recently about it. It was sort of the article I put in there that's sort of really they got no confidence in it by the looks of it. For me, like, if for the Lions, it's like, yeah, it's a couple years of some pain and a bit of a fuck around, but you're gonna end up with one of the most beautiful stadiums in the whole country for a home fucking ground, which would be, that'd be sick. Like, have, the Lions playing out of an Olympic stadium, and with how technology is developing and how modern some of these stadiums are becoming, like, we would probably have the most advanced and most beautiful stadium again in the whole fucking country, which should be exciting. But at the same time, it's like, do we want to give up that home ground advantage? And that's something we really spoke on last week. I'm for sort of, if we're going to do it, let's just fucking rip the Band-Aid off. Enough pussyfooting around. But as you said, the Queensland government, especially the whole Australian government, in fact, I know we've got our problems over here too in Perth. They can't organise a route and brothel. So,
for me, I think that the best course of action is to just build a new stadium somewhere else. Like, we have a big, massive wetlands near the airport that's not doing anything. Like, we can relocate a couple of animals to build a new football stadium there. I know the Brisbane Entertainment Centre is on its last legs. Like, so that's going to open up some land at some point that we can maybe repurpose. Yep. There's a couple of horse racing tracks that aren't really doing anything that we can knock down. There's a big portion of Victoria Park in Brisbane near the hospital that we can use. Even just build it somewhere like in the west somewhere. Like, just do something, for God's sake. Like, don't, instead of like knocking down the Gabba and rebuild it up, if that's not the way to go, build a new stadium separate from the Gabba, knock down the Gabba, build it into like housing or some bullshit, whatever the fucking people want. And yeah, just be done with it. One of the most frustrating things for me as well is like the people who have no idea what the fuck they're talking about engaging in the discussion. Like, for some reason the Gabba's capacity is, when in reality it's not. It's 36. It's like, that's a big fucking difference when we're talking about like increase in capacity.
Yeah. So
people are saying, oh, the Gabba can already hold 42,000 people. Why do they need the new rebuild to get it to 50,000? It's like, well, we need that extra seats, bro. We need the new facilities. We need more, like, if not just for Gabba, but for cricket, for concerts, for stadium, for events that require a big stadium. Like WWE are doing a big show in Perth that I'm going to. And we missed out on that. We missed out on stuff like that. Taylor Swift's not coming over because she doesn't want to play in the Gabba because it's a shithole compared to the MCG.
Yeah.
Like, and you have all these fucking Muppets saying all these facts that are wrong, and I say to them, no, the Gabba's only 36,000, and then they link the fucking out of date Gabba website and say, well, actually, the Gabba holds 42,000, and it's like, no, you fucking prick. I've been to every single Gabba game for the last 15 years. Like, it does not hold 42,000. It never has, and it never will in its current fucking configuration. So, shut the fuck up. you know?
Yeah, fucking oath. That's so fucking. It's like so interesting
Just
to hear
all
this
these
from someone. It's just interesting to hear this from someone who actually lives over there. You know, for me, as you guys and listeners can probably tell, like I'm scrambling to fucking figure out what to say about this topic because I don't fucking live over there. So yeah, dude, you put it in a really good points. Fuck, you just don't really think of it that way. A lot of people
People are
aren't
just
going
fucking
to.
ignorant.
No, they're just going to look at it for the most simple fact of, no, that's usually their point. Anyway.
And like they say, oh, build housing, build hospitals, and all this bullshit. And it's like, that's great, bro. But that $2 billion that we have for the Gabba rebuild, that doesn't exist without the Olympics. You know, like how is that so fucking hard to understand? It's not like the state government and the federal government just pulled this $2 billion nest egg out of their ass that they've been holding for nothing. Like that, we get that from the IOC, from other firms, other corporations and governing bodies. They gave us that money to have an Olympics, you know, like that's not how it works. And like people just don't know shit, and they like spew out this bullshit about, oh, build the hospital, build the school, build the houses and shit, just like surface level fucking political speak to make them. They just don't know. Like they want to look all fucking tolerant and wonderful, showing how much they care about like the housing and the homelessness and all this bullshit like that. But like their fucking activism is limited to spreading misinformation on Facebook about the Gabba redevelopment and the money that's being used to fund it.
I love the fact Gabba conspiracies are a thing. That's so fucking good.
Fucking just people are fucking stupid, bro.
Yeah, they fucking are, dude. It never changes with humanity. Never changes what city you go in either. Everyone's a fucking moron.
Everyone's a fucking expert.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna end the show with a bit of the best 22 here. So we'll start with the back line, go in the the midfield, forward line, and all that. We'll just write off who we think would be in our best 22 here. We'll collaborate on this one here because I think we can come up with something pretty spicy. We've got a really fucking fun list to play with here. I think most of it sort of speaks for itself. I don't think much for me changes from last year.
No.
Except slotting in the new additions here, and as well as things like that, considering Zorko's last year, considering Darcy's insane fucking performance in the forward line with his 3 banging goals in the intra-club.
Do we know sorry, let me stop you right there. Do we know it's Zorko's last year, or is it just like a feeling that you have?
It's a feeling I have. I know he's running on, but I just feel like his body is going to, because his body gave him a bit of grief last year. So for me personally, I feel like he's going to give it one last roll of the dice. I think if the Lions didn't get so close last year, he would be retiring. But I think because we just got so fucking close, he's just like, man, like I can taste it. Like, let me just run it back one more time. That's how I'm feeling on it. Whether or not he can last till September is another question. But I'm hoping he does, man, because I would love for nothing to see than Zorko, of all people, knowing it would fucking piss off so many fucking AFL fans, winning his last match ever in the grand final. That would be fucking incredible scenes for me.
Here's the thing with 35 this year. Jeez. Scott Pendlebury is 36, so he's 1 year younger than Scott Pendlebury. So I reckon if Scott Pendlebury's still going good this year, and if he retires now, or if he retires 2025, I reckon Dane Zorko's got at least 2 more years, depending on his form, depending on if his body can hold up. If he has the same longevity, whatever fountain of youth bullshit that Scott Pendlebury is on right now, I reckon if he has that same magic, I reckon he can go for a little bit longer.
Yeah, I'd
that depends on form.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to see it sort of happen in, Zorko play on into his late 30s. I don't know if we touched on this last week on the potty, but I do want to point out just the longevity of these athletes is going to become, longer and longer, and they're going to become more and more durable with, how the AFL generates more money, which means the players make more money, which means they can afford better recovery methods and all this sort of shit. You look at guys in the NBA like LeBron, he's spending over $1 million dollars a year on his body, and the dude's about to start playing into his 40s. So, we've got it's fucking insane when you think about it. And I think it's only going to get the longevity is only going to extend. And I'd love to see that in the AFL too, because you just see guys, they get to 33, 34, and they're just cooked. You get the odd exception with guys like Pendles, but it's not often you get these guys playing into the late 30s and into their 40s. I'd love to see more of it, and I think we're going to with just the evolution of sports medicine and all that sort of shit. I'm not an expert, so I'm not gonna act like it, but I just feel like that's the way we're going, and I'd love to see Zork be in that situation, man, because as much as the rest of the AFL universe is going to disagree with us on it, I'd love to see him win a flag and retire on it. I'd love it for him, and the story's done. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. How do you think our backline looks this year? I mean, for me, it's sort of like same old crew. You got the Harris Payne, holy shit, Harris Andrews, Jack Payne, and fucking this is where I sort of get a bit stuck. I don't know if I like putting Kitty. Kitty's more of a flanker for me personally, centre half back. Who are you slotting in?
Here's the thing. I look at our best 22 in two halves. First half without Ashcroft and without Duday, and then second half is with Ashcroft and with Duday. As it stands right now, with our backline, I'd keep it the same as while Duday is unavailable. I keep it the same as grand final day, except I slot out Darcy Gardner for Jack Payne, because I think Payne's a bit younger, he's a bit bigger, he's a bit more dynamic. I remember seeing replays of him in round 23 against Collingwood at Marble. He's like diving out into the goals to save goals by touching it on the line. Yeah. And I mean this with all due respect. He's not as mobile with the passage of time, and that's not a crack on him. He still did very good in the prelim and the grand final. But I think like big plays like that Jack Payne is capable of, I think that stuff helps you win premierships. And like had Jack Payne been out there on the day, I reckon it could have gone a bit differently,
Yeah, definitely. I feel like he would have been a massive difference maker for us.
And then in terms of Duday, when he comes back, I reckon either Leicester or maybe McKenna, and I don't use those names lightly. I reckon one of them may come in for Duday, but I don't think Duday is going to be able to come in automatically. I think he'll have to earn it and really prove that he can play well, because and that depends on how well Leicester and McKenna go. But I reckon Duday's gonna have to earn his spot in the back line for sure.
Definitely.
We have a new backline coach, so things are going to be different this year. But I think definitely it's not going to be a situation where he just comes in automatically like an Ashcroft,
Yeah, certainly. Especially like Duday worries me a little bit just because it's like he's done his ACL twice now, and it's like we can be very confident in our medical staff all we want, but a fucking ACL is still an ACL, and it's been done twice. He's coming off his second ACL, that's tough news. I think if he does it one more time, it might be game over. Anyway, I feel like he's going to have to, just not only prove all that, but just prove his health and fitness too. An ACL does take a long time to recover from. But let's hope that our medical staff is, doing their Jesus shit here. Let's hope that they're, doing their magic like they've done with many players who've been injury plagued, who have then come to the Lions and ended up having a fulfilling career. Let's hope it's all the same for him, man. Fuck, exactly, man. That's a good example right there. Danaher's a great one. Let's hope they can do it. Lincoln McCarthy too. He got fuck all game time at the Cats because he was injured all the time. Comes to the Lions and he's been a mainstay for years now. It's not often you see Link missing a game. Run through that full back line for me. So that was Dode, Payne, and Andrews down back, and then what were you playing? See, this is the thing with Tom.
Fullback is Starcevic, Andrews, and is Coleman. Definitely, like you don't touch him with a 10-foot pole. He stays in the halfback where he belongs. And either Leicester or McKenna come out for Duday, but that depends on like what Duday's capable of. Maybe you can put Starcevic in the half-back line and get Duday in the full-back line, depending on like what he's capable of and what type of player he is. Let me see right now. He is he's 187 centimeters. So I reckon halfback line's a good spot for him for sure.
Yeah, it's a stacked back line. I'm actually really excited to see it this year, especially when Duday is back on. Just back on. I'm really keen to see it. Our midfield sort of just goes without fucking saying at this point. Like, it is lethal. Our midfield moving forward.
For me, I think it's a given that we have Fletcher and Ashcroft playing in the same midfield. I think that should be a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be hard to pick like who goes out. Is it Robertson or is it even someone like a or Dunkley? But I think that competitiveness and that feel like the starting midfield, knowing that their spot is not safe and that they can come out and make way for an Ashcroft or a Fletcher or a Robertson, that or even a Wilmot, that is very healthy, and that's exactly what we need, because that's going to help. That's going to enable us to get better. That's going to enable us to not be stagnant and not be complacent.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly what we need. Like, we need that competitiveness in terms of like the selection table for our midfield for sure.
And I think as well, like with those young guys you've mentioned, they're going to be very important for us to develop and, build that chemistry and get them just get them their minutes and hours into the midfield, because, there's going to come a time in the next few years where we're going to start seeing, our main event guys, you could say, start to drop off, both, just due to age and all that sort of shit. Your Lockie Neals and Charlie's, even though Charlie's not a midfielder, but you know what I mean? Like, there's going to be a lot of those guys that start to drop off, and if we start developing our future now while we're still up and about, which is something we have been doing, Darcy Wilmot has been a mainstay in the best 22 and playing pretty much every home and away game last year and all the finals and what have you, only being so young, and in his second full season, if you could even say, it was probably his first actual full season last season. So I just think it's going to be very important playing all those guys together, having especially Ashcroft and Fletcher. And then don't forget as well, we're probably more than likely going to be picking up Levi Ashcroft at the end of this year, which is very, very, very exciting. I think that's going to be I think it's going to be a hell of a pickup. And I just hope the Ashcrofts keep that coming, man, because we need it. We can have Will Ashcroft's son eventually playing for us, and Levi Ashcroft can have a daughter playing for us, and they're all going to be weapons. It's just in the blood. I don't know what they were giving them when they were growing up, but yeah, super excited for that too, dude. Very good. For me, I think the midfield's just your usual suspects. You got your Lockie Neal, Josh Dunkley. I'm gonna definitely steal your point in definitely playing the young guys as much as possible in the midfield, just building that chemistry as I just harped on about. And probably on the wings, I'd probably have Zach Bailey on there as a usual mainstay. And then you'd probably have Kitty Coleman sort of maybe come up a little bit as well every now and then onto the wing, but that would probably more so depend on the matchup for me. How's your forward line looking, man? How are you feeling about our forwards this year?
I think keep. I reckon I'd swap maybe. I wouldn't swap anybody. I'd keep it reasonably intact. The thing I think keep Hipwood high for sure, because I think that's his run, his athleticism. Danaher's our main target down forward for sure.
Yep.
Having guys like Bailey, Rayner, Cameron, and Archie as well, that's very salivating for me, and Lincoln McCarthy as well as an option. I don't know if you'd have Archie or and can come on later, but for me as well, here's the thing as well. We've got Darcy Gardner has shown us like he can play a decent enough effort in the forward line as well, so that gives us more depth, as well as the kids we picked up in the draft for the future in case we get injuries or whatnot. If there's an injury mid game, we can throw Gardner forward, and do. I think that's another revelation that we've had, like Coleman down back a couple years ago. Maybe that gives Darcy Gardner a new lease on his career, maybe. But I reckon other than that, I think keep the forward line relatively the same for sure.
Yeah, dude. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I I've come to realize as we're sort of doing this segment, when we're trying to put together our best 22, it's sort of the same team that we really see almost week in, week out when everyone is healthy. It really makes you feel like, how did we go from guys like Josh Shackey to this?
Just
like,
we got better scouting wise, I guess. I'm not sure.
It's just insane because it's like a lot of these guys, especially like some of our bench players, like would be, start-ons at any other club for the most part. When we were just talking about, you were just listing off his names, and someone like Cal Archie is probably the likely person there to be coming off the bench is fucking insane into our forward line. It's just, it makes me very excited. I thought I was excited for last year's season, knowing we got Ashcroft, Dunkley, Gunston, which I was excited about, unfortunately didn't quite fit well, and also getting so close. I think I'm much more excited for this year, and to see sort of the how the team performs in terms of trying to make that last leap, the last hurdle towards a flag, after coming so close. After sort of putting together all that, how are you feeling sort of about our team coming into this season?
People have said we have one of the hardest fixtures in the comp, but I don't think that's going to be a problem for us. I think we're going to handle it well, especially when you look at the list and you look at like who we have at our disposal. We have enough midfield talent to make an entire new midfield. We can have two midfields like that we can swap in and out. Completely wise, I think the only issue we have is maybe our ruck depth, but again, we have Danaher who can jump in the ruck. Maybe some of our younger fellas who we drafted who are a bit on the taller side, maybe we can groom them into a forward ruck hybrid like a Danaher that can come in. I think if Oscar can stay healthy, we are perfectly fine depth wise for the rest of the team. Yeah. And I think it's gonna be a good year for sure.
Yeah, man, it's going to be a fun year. It's going to be, I feel like at times, a bit of a roller coaster, but for the most part, I'm hoping it's smooth sailing. I don't want to say anything too much about how I'm hoping the season might go because I don't want to jinx anything or, nothing like that. So I'm just going to say it's going to be a roller coaster and we're going to have fun with it. But I
was about to say like we could jinx it and we could completely bomb out and end up like in 15th on the ladder or some bullshit like that. But like when you look at the list we have and you look at the coaching staff and you look at our record at the Gabba, I don't think we will. Yeah. At worst, maybe we lose a prelim, or but at best, we get back into the grand final. I think.
For me, just losing is just not a scenario we go through this year. Losing regular season games, yes, of course, we're not going to go undefeated. Yeah, let's be realistic. But losing a second grand final in a row would fucking really, it'd be upsetting and piss me the fuck off. Losing anything before that would be unacceptable. That's sort of this is going back to your the weight of expectations changed, and it's going to make for a very, very interesting season. High pressure, high intensity season. And look, man, we're going to be here every step of the way of it. We are going to be posting episodes every week, for the most part, I hope, unless something happens. But till then, it's going to be weekly. Hopefully every Monday at this point. We might do some, depending on what time games are. If we're both home, we might do some live post game sort of stuff. We'll interact with the chat and have a blast for that, but that's something more down the line. Man, have you got anything else before we head off?
I think that Chris Fagan said in his post-match presser after the grand final that despite what people have said, we haven't missed our premiership window. We've just entered into it. I think the next couple of years is our best possible chance of winning a flag. And I think regardless of what happens this year, we've set ourselves up really well for the next couple of years. We've got, this isn't going to be our one chance, like we're not going to go away for a while, Yeah,
definitely. I'm hoping we're going to sort of be viewed in the same light that that Geelong was for throughout the 2010s, minus the semi-final and prelim chokes, every year or two. We're going to just win flags the whole fucking time. That'd be the best thing. That'd be the best. Till then, we'll see you guys all next week. Definitely keep up to date with us on the main event. Got our socials links down here. Main Event Pod on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, wherever you find you and like using your social media, your social media attention. yeah, use your platform of choice. But till then, we'll be back next week. We're going to talk a bit more Lions footy and a whole heap more. Tell you all about it then, though. So you better be coming back here, and don't forget to leave us a 5-star rating on Spotify. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts as well. If we get a review, we may as well read one out every show if we can get a few reviews going. So
for sure.
We can do all that. So if that entices you to leave a review, then go do it. But yeah, till then, we'll see you down the dusty road, dusty trail, whatever you want to call it. It's the main event. See you soon.